So, how did you get into music?
How did I get into music?
I just wanna live it up. I just wanna live it up. I affirm it in the mirror every time I wake up.
My father was always in music. My dad was always in music. It would be something that you would think that that's what I would do. That's my whole life. But I grew up snowboarding, so it wasn't my everything. wasn't the path, at least what I thought. And sometimes I always say when things are so close to you, you tend to not see them. You know, my mom would always bring me into the clubs that he was playing, and yeah, it was just such a normal thing. He had a studio downstairs, and he'd work on music, and just wasn't. I was too scared. Like at the end of the day, it just comes down to I was just completely too insecure to do anything with music. Snowboarding was a little easier in that field as far as I would compete, which was I couldn't stand doing it. But yeah, I found music kind of when I was lost. For a while, I had an injury in snowboarding, and yeah, and after my injury, I say I got the case of the F-its, you know. I was like, F this, F that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't want to do anything. If I can't snowboard, if I can't do this the rest of my life, like I don't want to do anything else. There's nothing else I'm good at. Essentially, is definitely. I mean, I was younger, you know, I was super young, and yeah, it's just like F everything. I'm just gonna enjoy life while I'm here, essentially. You know, very pessimistic thinking. Surely out of like that time of being lost, I don't want to say randomly because I don't believe in anything random happens. I ended up going to this club with some mutual buddy that I had met from a place that I wasn't doing the best, and he's like, you have to come out, and I just was like, all right, I just want to do anything not to feel the way that I feel every single day. So I went to the club, and and that's when I was just like, oh, I've never experienced something like that. Like, mind you, I was very fortunate to be able to travel for snowboarding and to compete, but you don't really go out. You know, when you travel and you compete, it's not really, you just train, you're always on the mountain. It's not something that you could really experience in that sense. So I went out and I was just like, oh my gosh, an experience that I never had. Like, my energy's always been like this. Like, oh my gosh, what could, you know? Yeah. I feel like so I went there and I was like, I don't know what it is in this industry, but like, I want to do whatever this is. Because you'd like bump into someone, they'd be like, you know, there's
It was a different energy than what you probably were seeing your dad do, or what was it?
A different energy than I've ever been around. Like an energy that I felt just so connected with me internally. I was just like, oh my gosh. Like, because I always felt, definitely growing up, even in snowboarding, I was able to express it a bit more, just like out of humor, or I don't know, just like the gnarly personality, I guess you could say. But I never felt like I could like be myself growing up, in the sense of just my personality. It's like too much, or out there, or things that I wanted to wear, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
You know? Just felt like I couldn't, never voice it. I definitely didn't know it at that time. It was definitely super subconscious.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like, why am I lost? Why do I feel this way? Why do I have to feel like maybe I kind of have to put on, not an act, but maybe, you know?
Showing only a little bit of yourself,
right? That's perfect, yeah. So why is it like that? And then, yeah, I don't know. I just connected with just the energy and the people. It just felt like I was meant to be there, and all the bad things. I didn't know what it was in the industry. I just wanted to be a part of whatever was going on, and yeah, that's what had happened. And I started going for all the right reasons, just to connect. Who can I connect with? Who can I, you know what I mean? Who can I meet? What do I have to do? And so, you know, little by little, I realized, and I would connect with people, and they're like, well, you could DJ, but if you DJ, you're going to hit a ceiling.
Yeah.
So if you really want to take this, like, you want to do this, like, seriously, you're going to have to learn how to produce. And I was like, okay, yeah, you know? And I came from where, like, snowboarding and more so sports, anything athletic, really, it just made sense to me. Like, I was definitely very fortunate to be gifted in that way. So I think I had a bit of a chip on my shoulder when stepping in the music, and mind you, I was very young, you know, so I just expected me to pick it up.
What age was this?
Well, I definitely, when I started, I got injured probably around 15 or 16, and I started music, I don't want to even say seriously, but I started messing with it maybe like around 16, 17.
Wow.
Yeah, and yeah, I think coming from snowboarding and just being able to pick up things like that I was able to just do, like physically. I
Yeah.
thought that I could do that. It's a lot of brain work though, you know. And yeah, it just didn't click for me like that. And I like to voice that a lot because I know in things that I watched and learning what I had learned that I now know, I watched a lot of things where people voiced that, where they could have easily just not talked about it.
Right.
Just be like, yeah, it made sense, and I just put in the work. You know, but like I know for me, if I were to just listen to that, I might maybe have taken music as far. I don't know. You know, so I don't want to like I don't want to lie and just pretend like I'm just good at what I do.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not about like, yes, there's a validation source of like, no, it's like it's just like work. Like my perception of talent and what I consider is just hours and hours and hours and hours of beating at your craft.
I'm feeling fantastic, head up in the clouds, so enthusiastic, jumping up and down, quit being dramatic, let it smile out. I'm blocking out the static, trying to get me like.
I just felt so drawn, like I couldn't help myself. Like when I found music, because I didn't preface before, but even when I traveled for snowboarding, I would always go and like hide in like a bedroom or hide in so, and I had a little little crappy computer, and I just would always like rap or try and sing.
No way.
Yeah, my team, like in the team house, or like anytime we would go to a hotel or something, and then they caught me one time, and they're like, "Oh, what are you trying to do?" You know, and I'm like, "Oh," I was like, "I wasn't even freaking doing nothing," you know. I don't know what you heard. It wasn't me. You know, and I'd go cry.
And you go cry.
I'm serious. I genuinely would. It's not really funny, but it is. But things like that, I feel compounded over time and definitely added to the insecurities of just whatever else I wanted to try. But then fast forward, so that was like the obvious. I was just messing around and more like a secretive, like this is something I would never even imagine doing it for a career. Honestly, it was just like so cool to me. But then I was injured, and then 16, 17, once I went to the club, I was addicted. Like, because I lost that, so that wasn't even a reality. And then I'm just going through the case of the efforts for so long, and I just know I'm lost, and I found I couldn't help myself.
Right.
You know? And it was like nothing I've even in snowboarding, which was my everything, it was like nothing I had ever experienced in my entire life. And I just became obsessed, you know?
Yeah. It's interesting that snowboarding to me is pretty scary. It's terrifying. I don't like to snowboard. I like carve down the mountain. So it's interesting how you thought that was less scary than singing.
Yeah, I mean, but they say the same thing with the biggest fear over death, right, is public speaking for most.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so I think it falls into that category and less like risking my life to do something, a cool trick.
And singing is vulnerable. It's your thoughts, it's your voice,
Ooh,
right?
for sure. Yeah, 100%. I definitely didn't know that going into it. Now, again, when I started producing, I became obsessed. Now, in the case of the efforts and the issue, what I was dealing with in life because of my own, you know, choices that I was making, I pretty much really just switched one thing for another. I became so obsessed, you know, which kept me like on a good track, but I was so obsessed where I just would not sleep, I would not eat, I would not, like nonstop. As much as like little as a human being could possibly not sleep or eat, and I'm not condoning this, I'm not telling people to do this, it was so second nature, I couldn't help it. I didn't want to leave the computer, and nothing made sense. You know, I tried everything at first. I tried Fruity Loops, I tried Ableton, I tried Pro Tools, I tried everything until like Studio One, just a bunch of random, I tried everything until Logic. And Logic made a little more sense. Now, looking back, the only reason it really made sense is because I think I was using like GarageBand or something when I used to like hide in like other rooms and like try and pretend. So the interface just looked very familiar to my subconscious, I guess. So it clicked a little bit more. So I just, right when I found the program that I wanted to work in, the DAW, Digital Audio Workstation, I was like nonstop, couldn't. There'd be so many times I'd just fall asleep at the computer. You know? And just keep going. And all of it sounded incredible. All of it sounded so bad. You know? Which really drove me that much more, because I was like, there's no way, like I have to figure this out.
Right.
I affirm it. I want it all 'cause I deserve it. Steady working. Everything I got, I earned it. I ain't hurting. I'm looking back like, damn, that was worth it.
Most of your music now, you talk about binaural beats and the frequency and law of abundance, law of attraction, manifesting. What was that mindset shift that led you into knowing this?
A big mindset shift, and with all this new music now, and really tuning things specifically and actually to the frequency of whether it's like, say, one's abundance or say happiness, and just going down like the frequency scale of where everything's at. It really all started because I started kind of dropping other insecurities that I have. I was just, especially, hip hop. If I were to produce anything, if I were to have like no choice and I could only produce one style of music, it would definitely be hip hop. But you have to like change the extra.
I know that. I love that you know what's up.
Yeah, I saw that coming out. And I was like, oh, that's
Should I ask the question again?
No.
Okay, then fine.
I was thinking about something. I'm sorry I said that. Like
No,
that.
I don't care.
Yeah. So, yeah, the start of all this new music, I guess you could say, is just with being on the wave of frequency and everything, came from stepping away and just letting go of a lot of insecurities that I had, in the sense of, like, especially hip hop. Hip hop was something that if I were to choose one genre of music that I could make, like, at all times, and I couldn't make anything else, it would definitely be just hip hop in general. I think for me, as a producer, not just anything with writing or singing or vocals, it's the most fun. I have the most fun making it. And I never did it because just fear of judgment of others. It's like, oh, what's it like? I'm not naive. Like, I was like, what's it gonna look like? It's like, it totally makes sense. Pop, like, because at the end of the day, it's like people see you, and then even if it's, I don't know. It's a weird industry, and it can be. And I think, again, I was just very insecure, and I was like, what are people gonna say? Like, because I also didn't want to come off a certain way. I was just very scared, But until I had a conversation with my manager, Chaz, and he was like, bro, he's like, that's like, that's what you love. It's not like what you're making it out to be. And that's how it was for like any music that I make. If I look back, I was like, all these insecurities and blocks that I had in my life that kept me from everything that I ever wanted was just my own excuses, like my own whatever I wanted to create in my head. It's just like a roadblock. I was like, no, I can't do this, or I shouldn't do this because of this. But I think even now, like when I step back and I look at my intention, it's like, well, I think in general, just what's my intention with putting anything out, whether it's a piece of content, me talking, me having an interview, me making music. It's like, there's no, like, I only want other people to feel either something positive, or even whether they're laughing at me or with me or whatever, I just want it, it's all positive. There's nothing negative that I actually want to put out into the world. And when I always take it back to that, and then whatever I'm trying to decide, to not let my brain tell me not to do it because of a fear or insecurity. And I look at them like, all right, well, like, let's just like more so have fun and be like the genuine self that I know that I am internally, which is sometimes hard to not fight with, and just try it, at least. Like, you don't have to put anything out, so at least tell myself. And so that's how this new music kind of started. It was just, it's like everything. If I were to look at from music to like the music that I'm putting out now to the content that I put out now, if I were to look at everything, even like a year ago, I wouldn't believe it, because I thought it was like from like cheesy to corny. Like, these are the things that I build up in my head: cheesy, corny, or not cool, or I don't know. just whatever, you know, I create. This is just me being honest, you know. I don't feel that about what I put out now, although sometimes I do. It's like, I'm like, ugh, you know, that really just, you know, it's like, come on, bro. You know, that's what I tell myself, you know, it's like, especially some of this stuff. But again, humor has been a huge thing, like part of my story, and moving past things and like jumping hurdles and being able to have humor behind it. And so tying that back to the music and the wave and the frequency, we had this conversation with my manager, and I was just like, bro, like all you do is talk about life. He's like, literally all you talk about life and the things that have, like, you have gone through and the things that you hope that other people, you know, could hopefully resonate with by the things that you say. All I talk about, even on lives or anything, it's just like life, and these are the things and roadblocks that we create in our lives. And so what if you just like did that, you know, did like the hip hop stuff that you want, that you won't tell yourself you will, and just like, you know, just like write about that stuff. And then my first reaction was like, no, this would be so corny. I was like, I don't want to do that. He was like, bro, especially, that's what held me. I didn't do TikTok's still like in the spectrum. I mean, in the spectrum of all, like the career of me doing all of this, it is so brand new. Like just started. In the spectrum of my career, it's like didn't even hit 1% of like doing social media like that. But I didn't want to do it. I just had a fear of everything. And if I was going to do it, it was going to be shot with the A7S III with the 1.4 f-stop, and this is exactly how it's going to be, you know, and I just created all of these great excuses that just held me back from everything that I ever wanted, you know, but I told myself that it's just like this, it's just excuses as human beings we come up with out of fear, and it's great, you know, like they're great excuses, and a lot of times they're valid. But like, am I gonna let the fact that it may be valid, like, hold me back from everything I wanted? Like, I could only know that in the moment that I'm making that choice, you know. So, yeah, that's it. Kind of started like that. And it started more with this wave of music, so like affirmations and talking about, you know, I'm big on law of attraction and speaking into existence and, you know, verbalizing these things. Like, it's so true. It's literally been the story of my life, for good and for bad. You know, so it goes the same way for negative. And so it kind of started like that, you know, like that self-love, and kind of, if I'm talking to myself, but at the same time, like other things hopefully people could resonate with by just listening to it over and over. It's kind of like a tricky way, because like the beats are dope,
Yeah.
you know, so it's kind of like a tricky way to put people on to like something positive,
Yeah.
you know, and there's nothing bad with it. I mean, like negative music, and I don't have anything against it. I mean, that was the very beginning of my project, was all that, you know, but for me, with that earlier, darker music and just singing that kind of stuff, it was very partially meditative and very, I say it was like kind of journaling for me, and therapeutic, and expressing the way that I feel inside without actually carrying through those acts. You know, there's a lot of things that I experienced and I wanted to write about, hopes that other people could resonate with them and not deal with that in their life, or really just more so not to feel alone, you know. But, you know, talk about speaking it into existence, even though I was writing about real things that had happened in my past and things that I had gone through. I essentially then manifested that again in my life through that whole EP, you know, and the same things but 10 times worse happened over, which is so crazy, because it is true. It was a way for me to express those things without actually carrying through them in real life. You know, journal them is therapeutic, but it just manifested right back in my life.
Yeah.
Like the same, but like 10 times heavier, you know, because I was really throwing it out into the universe.
Yeah.
Which is so, it's not really wild. I was going to say it's so wild, but it's really, really not.
You manifested it, but then because you already went through it, did you learn the lesson of making a different choice?
I don't. It's very tricky, I think. It's not, all of it can be tricky. I complicated it, you know? I complicated it, yeah.
Good, you made yourself accountable.
Yeah. I mean, accountability is everything, right? And awareness. Those are like the two, some of the two biggest things. Like, just anyone, if I were to say like the two things you need to have, you know? Yeah, for sure. Accountability and awareness has changed my life. And it's just like, we come up with great excuses, and it's just like, it all comes back to the feeling. We were just speaking on like Dr. Joe Dispenza, and obviously there's many other people on this wave, but it's like, how do I want to feel? You know, whether it's like people want things in life, and that's awesome. There's nothing bad with wanting things in life, but whether it's right, let's just say make it super, super simple, right? Someone wants a car or a house or even a relationship. It's like, why do you want that? You know, you'd be like, well, because I want it, it's freaking cool. You know, you can say that, but like it all is going to come back to emotion. How does that make you feel? Whether it's just you, or how does it make you feel when you drive it, or do you have that relationship and you get to freaking actually cuddle on the couch? That'd be cool. You know, I'd say that like I don't have that. You know, but seriously, you know, and it would point being, it's the emotion. You know,
Yes, it is.
it's the emotion. So if that's the case, it's like, oh, if you just actually put that into whatever you're manifesting and the way you want to feel, because at the end of the day, that's what you're essentially, whether it's the thing that you want, like that's what you really want. So like the key to it, one of the keys is definitely that emotion. What does it feel like? I used to do that forever, which is, again, I can't say crazy. I got to come up with something just because how things have changed in my life. It's like, it's so amazing because I used to I'm big on house, like I love houses, and I'll always watch house tours. There's this guy, Ennis, on YouTube, and he has the best YouTube channel for all that. Whatever, there's some other good ones, but his is good. His is the best. Seriously. And I'll just watch, you know, and I was, I love this and this decor. I know nothing, I don't cook for anything, but I love a good looking kitchen.
Yeah.
You know, but I won't cook. I just don't like it. I don't know, it's just like a waste of time. I don't want to do it, you know. But I wish I did. I just really, the truth is I'm not good at it. You know? Like I make horrible
You're like,
food.
I gotta manifest that.
Yeah, I gotta manifest that. But so when forever I just, part of my manifesting and things that just I want to attract and essentially eventually have in my life was always like a kitchen. Like what does it, bringing that emotion, what does it smell like, what does the coffee, I'm a big coffee drinker. So like when I walk downstairs, what's the kitchen look, which is crazy in my head, it's now the kitchen that I have.
Oh shit, really? That's gorgeous, yeah.
You know, which is amazing, is
Yeah.
amazing. I was gonna say crazy again, but it's really not, right? But that was my biggest thing, like emotion. What does that feel like? Or the car, or the same, whatever it is, the relationship, you know?
Yeah.
What does that feel like, the emotion, right? Because if it's forever, you're always chasing happiness, you'll never have it, right? It's just like bringing that to the present moment. And then how do you act? You know, like if that's your thing, you wake up in the morning and you got kitchen, because then people are like, well, how am I supposed to pretend like I have the relationship or I have the car? Or like I don't care if you have a Honda Civic, like drive, like what does it feel like to drive if you want, as smart, whatever you want, you know? What's it feel like? You know, people start seeing people just in like Civics now, just going, you know?
Yeah.
But seriously, I mean, it's funny, but it's true, you know, and I know that had changed my life. What's it feel like? And then how would I carry myself if that was my reality? Because reality is really what you choose it to be,
Right.
you know, and what you choose to believe. It's just that simple, yet we complicate it,
Yeah.
you know?
So what I'm hearing from just hearing everything that you just said is that you unblocked major pathways in your life and whatever you believe in it, fate, destiny, by becoming fearless of you being emotional, you being vulnerable,
Yeah.
going after what you literally love and having this emotion attached to it, which in turn, universe, whatever you want, life then gave you, again, through emotion, what you've been manifesting.
Yeah, I mean, 1,000%, and yeah, I've really been feeling it since moving to Miami, just in the sense of like really stepping into like my place of like power or confidence, you know, not in a bad way, just like, oh my gosh, you know, just certain things that I feel, I don't want to say comfortable because I'm a big believer in get comfortable getting uncomfortable, but I feel empowered and confident saying just on social media and like being myself without fear of judgment, which is, and that's like a super recent thing, and I've been doing this for a minute, you know, but I've really been feeling that super recently, and it's like, well, what, again, I take it back to like, what's my intention, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I only hope to put anything out there that potentially someone could resonate with, whether it's a 6-second piece of content, you know, that's either silly, funny, or a piece of music that someone hopefully enjoys. If they don't, you know, there's just things I can't control, you know? But like, I know that's not bad and it's not negative. So if that's the case, you know, anything else is out of my control. I would say take it back to the serenity prayer. I'm not religious by any means, and I have nothing against anyone that is. If it's all, I don't care what anybody believes in, as long as it's for, you know, it's positive.
Yeah.
Like, what should it matter to anybody else, you know?
So your intention for all of this, just in a few words, like, what is it?
I think my intention, with a few words, as far as music.
No, as far as everything that you've been doing, your voice, everything you're saying, because music is.
I would say, yeah, I would say hope. You know, maybe hope. Hope. I say hope because, like, I just like the place that I used to be seemed so unattainable to climb out of. And I really recently, I really would like to start posting. That's something that I've definitely been fearful more of. It's a lot of like old videos and things, you know, with me not being in my best state, that I really want to put out. You know, it's almost like social media. You have to have some sort of external validation for what you're speaking on.
Yeah.
Like, and I actually also am like down with that, because if not, then it's just a bunch of gibberish, and who are you really going to believe?
Right.
You know? So if that's the case, and I also believe that, then it's like I also have to like put some of that stuff out there that also is very, you know, scary in the sense of like, oh no, like what are people going to think, obviously, but is it going to affect, you know, me being honest about who I was, like how I used to live and who I used to be, right? Essentially, because in order to live a different life, you have to become someone completely different, which I now am, you know?
Yeah.
So, maybe that's like the next part. But I would say hope, just because I know it seemed like impossible to climb out of where I used to be, and the fact that I could sit here now in general and just things that, it's not just like the things, you know? It's really the feeling, you know?
Yeah, that frequency is much needed around this whole planet.
Yeah, for sure. I get scared. It's like, they're gonna find me, you know, they're gonna find out about the music, you know. I see like people commenting, like, you know, who else did this? And like everyone's listing, it's like everyone's been killed. Yeah.
Oh.
You know, so I'm just like, oh God, you know, so like lock the doors. But yeah, whatever, you know, whatever.
That's, I mean, yes and no.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're gonna be like, oh, this kid's doing this type of music, we gotta get him, you know?
They'll just clone you.
Oh no!
To circle back, more important things.
Yeah.
What was like, you were talking about how you saw yourself in a position that you never thought you were gonna crawl out of. What was that moment with that mind shift change, or started the climb essentially?
That's a good question. What brought me out of the hole that I had dug myself, essentially? I think it was a lot of external factors. I would love to be like it was me, you know. I do think I played obviously a huge role in it. Yeah, I mean, it's perspective, you know, perspective. Like, that's at the end of the day, if it goes down to one word, it was just perspective. And I had to reach the point of like no return, in the sense of like I didn't even know who I was. I was just like, okay, well, because I always wanted to create these great excuses where it was because it happened this way. If I did it, let me do it again, but it's not again because it's going to be totally different. But I'm just going to switch this one thing, you know. I'm going to do it this way, but I'm going to leave that one thing out.
Right.
It's the definition of insanity, consistently doing the same things over and over again, expecting different results, you know. So it was like, until I reached the point where I had tried the next one different thing over and over and over and over, and would end up another 6 feet under each time. There's like I don't know anything. I don't even know like should I drink apple juice? Like, I mean, it sounds silly, but like I was like that. I was like, I don't even know, like what's my, like I can't I can't trust myself, you know, and that's what I was taught. And then you be around other people, and then situations that I wound in because of the choices that I was making. You meet people that I do believe, at least in my experience, you know, like want to help other people. They've gone through it. I just never wanted to listen, you know, because I never always, and I feel like as human beings too, we could make it out to be like we're so different from one another. And there are many differences, you know, but it's not the point. Like you find the similarities, like the world as a whole would be so much better. It blows my mind sometimes, but again, in my own respect, I was doing that with a lot of things that I was involved in. You know, it's like, oh, like I see why you went down this path, but like I'm not like that because of this. Yeah, like it's like one word for another. It's the same thing.
Sounds like a lot of self-reflection.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Just self-reflecting, learning, and then, you know, trying new things and learning again, and
Yeah. Self-reflect. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, perspective and self-reflection. Yeah, I think we're definitely the two things. Yeah, and then it hit the point where I was just like, I don't know anything. Like I'm willing to do anything not to feel the way I feel every single day. It was just like that simple for me. Although it wasn't, because it was like over and over again, you know. But where I was finally willing to admit that I was the issue of everything that was happening in my life, and take the advice of someone else that knew better than me. Like it was that simple, but the road to it was far from simple, you know.
It was the surrendering until accountability. Would you say that it was almost like a victim mindset before, and then you were like,
yeah, the victim mindset, yeah,
and then you were like
why
no,
me type?
It's me.
Yeah. It's like then all the you're also saying why me? Like all these things aren't happening, or they are, but in a bad way. And it's like, why me? Why's this gotta happen? Of course it's gonna happen again. You get caught up in it. It's like then you just keep projecting that it's the same thing, you know, over and over.
When you have nothing left to burn, you have to set yourself on fire.
Ooh.
That's what you did.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's good. When you have
did,
nothing else to burn, you have to set yourself on fire. That's good. I'm going to steal that.
No, that's not my quote. It was from an amazing author. He's an old author.
When you have nothing else to burn,
you got to set yourself on fire, which then you become the phoenix, and it's a birth. It's rites of passage, right? You're like, are being reborn.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's what essentially I'd gone through. It's just like, okay, if this is, I don't know what, you know, I just knew that I wasn't willing to feel, I didn't want to feel the way that I felt every single day, and anything outside of that was a lottery ticket for me, you know?
I really believe that's a huge message, that you needed to experience the downness of down, and then your strong mindset literally brought you to here and to show and tell people your story. So another step that whatever the universe, your life is giving you is like, you gotta show where you came from and where you are now for other people. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, very small percentage, I would say. I'm very fortunate and I love what I do. Like, I'll be very clear on that. I'm very fortunate. I have, for putting, you know, the things that I've done, yes, I've worked very hard to be where I'm at, or to know the things that I know, and to, you know, see, it's a very new, he's telling me just to freaking say it, you know? That's what he's doing. Because I told you, I was like, I'm very feeling this, a power plays. That's a real thing, you know?
That's crazy.
It's a real thing. But yeah, it's crazy because like, I know that he's looking at me. He's not looking, I'm gonna say it. You know, I worked for, like I did this, you know? But it was the universe too, you know? He's like marking me down. But yeah, it's, all of these things, yes, it's been a crazy road here, but I would say a majority of it, for sure, because when you really internally have it, you realize that the real juice is like putting other people on, like onto that, like that, like for others, like external. It is the most selfless way of being selfish, but really it's like selfish because of what you get back from being selfless. It's insane, you know? So when you really, and that's why you understand then, when you have that perspective, then you realize it's like the most common, you know, saying, hurt people.
Yeah.
So if you realize that, and you're like, damn, like people are leaving mean comment on anybody's videos. I'll see some people post like awesome content. I'm not much of a comment watcher, like I just don't do it. But
You're a ghost follower, what is it?
what do you mean?
That's a ghost follower. You just look at people's stuff.
Oh, I mean, I don't follow. I mean, if I followed them, I'd be a ghost follower. Yeah, no, but just like on the search feed, you know, or for you, I guess you could say. Yeah, I'll see, and then I'm just curious, just like mentality, like just perspective, because I think it's great, and I get like, oh my gosh, like are other people on this? And there's like, they're just like trying to tear this person down for trying something or attempt something.
Yeah.
And again, that's not my intention to like focus on any of that negative stuff, but it's sometimes just it's hard to see, and it could be in anything, it could be in this field or music and life or anything else, and you're just like, wow. But when you really have the perspective, you're like, wow, like that person's really apparently like going through something,
right?
Because I know I would never. It was crazy. It's like even in my worst, I would never. But again, maybe it could be someone else's worse than I've ever had, I'm sure, and they're just there. That's the frequency that they're at. And when you know that truth, because that is a truth, it takes like almost all the weight off of it. And you're like, that's like such a you thing. And if anything, I really hope that like things are getting better, like genuinely, and not even saying it in like a passive way. Like sometimes for a while I would comment because like I really wanted people to, I wanted to be like I hope you have a better day, like genuinely. But I feel like for the most part, that's why I always prefer phone calls or things in person, because you just come off as like passive, like, I hope you have a better day, buddy.
Right.
Like it's not like that. Like I genuinely do hope that you have a better day. Like that's a tough place to be in. Like if I know at my worst, I would never do that. That's a different reality that I've definitely never experienced.
Yeah.
But with the perspective switch and having that understanding, like anybody that's going to put anyone down for anything, whether it's in real life, on social media, whatever. I would just hope that everyone again has that perspective of like, okay, like that's not personal, because that's the thing I think we take, especially as just creatives or anybody that's actually, you can have a business and you make dog cookies and you put something out and people are like, that looks like shit, like
they're always
but it puts someone down and it feels personal, but none of it, and that's what twisted me up for so long, is like anything I do, oh, it's personal, like they're, it's like something like that I'm doing, like they don't like me. But like the reality, who said it? Like, I feel like it was Tom Holland. It was another random scroll. I think it was Tom Holland. He was like, if you don't like what I have to say or am I posting about, he's like, then text me. He's like, if you can't text me, then you're not close enough to me to know me. Yeah, for sure. So I think that's huge too. Like it's such like an obvious thing, but sometimes as human beings and in the world that we live in within our head, we tend to neglect and forget some of these like obvious things. But yeah, I don't know, it's all, at the end of the day, we're all just here trying to figure it out.
We really are.
Like we're all, I'm sitting here, I think that's the thing that get twisted up when Mr. Birdie flew over and was like trying to tell me to say it,
You look at synchronicities like that and magic like that, yeah?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And now it's you said like spiritual experiences, but for a while, now it's just like, okay, it's like in alignment. Like I already know. So it's not as, I mean, it's always a wow, but like at first I was like, oh my gosh, no freaking way. Like there can't be a coincidence,
Please always have that response though. That's the magic in life, right? That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, it's because I'm very grateful, fortunate, I think, because I see it so much.
Yeah.
But I do believe, I agree with what you're saying. To always continuously have that emotion, to it. Just be like, okay. I think that one though is like, okay, like I freaking get it. You're gonna do it while I'm on camera though.
This is gonna lead into a bigger, like more in-depth question, but for right now, what is your favorite tattoo?
Oh, I don't know if I have.
Has the deepest meaning, most favorite, that was during a time of your life that you did something that was significant?
Like I would love, yeah. I mean, my favorite tattoo. I would love to have like an awesome answer for that. Most of my tattoos, I wasn't in the best mind state, and I don't even know if, I mean, maybe, you know, maybe at that point in time, there was something I was thinking about. I was like, this is going to mean a lot. This means a lot to me, and I want this on my body. I don't remember it though. You know, I don't remember.
Music note.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but it's kind of like, yeah, like I like music and I make music, you know, put it on me. But my mom's, okay, probably the only one is my mom's lips, which are like worn off now. But when I was a kid, growing up, you know, and you like don't want to be seen around your mom, which I'm a mama's boy, you know. So it was like last week, and I was like, Mom, you know, be around your friends and like give you a kiss goodbye, and I'd be like, Mom, no, you know what I mean? I'm in front of my friends, and she would still kiss my elbow, you know. So
that's cute.
Yeah. So, but that's about the only one. Some other ones were more like timestamps for me, you know, like my mom promised. I was 16 and I just got out of juvie, and she was like, I wasn't getting out. I was causing issues inside and whatever. I was just being an idiot. And she's like, if you just do what you have to do. I really wanted a tattoo. It's like such the worst motivation. I think my mom was willing to do anything though, you know, like I feel she's the sweetest lady ever. But she was like, if you get such horrible parenting advice. But she's like, yeah, if you just do what you have to do, there's like a tier system there or whatever, then you could get a tattoo. So that one like stamped like me getting out of juvie, but like off
Where
of
is that?
horrible, my whole side of my rib, like my whole, it's literally my last name. It's an ambigram. It's forwards and backwards. There's
cool.
There's no like none of it. Again, there's no weight behind any of them. More so timestamps, you know? It's like, oh, I remember this one, or oh, I don't remember this one, but it's probably around at this time, you know?
I believe in some subconscious way, tattoos, that's the weight, is the timestamp. That's all where you've been. Mm-hmm. And like that skin, I have this saying that tattoos aren't permanent because skin's not. And so that's just what you're writing on something temporary anyways.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I like that, right? Especially for a soul at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. So going into the deeper question, because you know that I believe in multiple lives, well, first, do you?
Yeah, I do.
Believe
Yeah,
in
past
energy?
lives, yeah.
Yeah. Just think of like different frequencies, right?
Uh-huh.
And then each version of you is through those different frequencies. What you tapped in, it sounds like to me, how my perception of things, that you literally lived in one resonation of life, where you went to juvie, you were a snowboarder, like, but you still had this like drive and will.
Uh-huh.
And then now you're tapping into another frequency, a little higher frequency. But what are you still in your dreams or in your imagination? Where are you seeing another life, or that your feeling is resonating with?
Oh, like the next life that I'm gonna have in this life?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but see, you know, for me, I think a lot of it, yeah, like the next life that I'm gonna have in this life, I think a lot of, because I know, and I speak on this a lot, like the real meat of all of this is what we're doing right now, is the journey of it.
Yeah.
For me, and I'm also a firm believer in, like, when you face fears and step into the unknown, that's where everything is, and it's a life beyond your wildest dreams. So, if it's beyond my wildest dreams, if I were to pair one, I know that the meat of all of this is in the moment and the journey, and then the fact that it's beyond my wildest dreams, I'm not going to sit and envision. I'm totally like down with like direction and where do we want to go and like moving forward, but I don't know, and like that's what excites me, you know?
I was hoping you would say something like that.
Oh really? Oh really? No way, really?
The best part is now, no matter what.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah.
No, that's.
I would also love to have like an answer for that, you know?
No.
But I also kind of don't want, because if I know if I sit here and I create this this wild dream, or well, this is where I want to be next. Every time that I've done that, even when I've done it in a positive, and so let's just talk like all positive frequencies, and it's turned out, it's always been freaking way better than I ever could have imagined. Always, and then when I tried to plan, and then the other thing is, then there'd be times, and not the best way, where I tried to plan it out, and then it actually swayed me from my path because I made sure that I didn't do X, Y, and Z of the unknown, and pushed away all the things that I was like, this isn't going to work out because that's not how it gets me here. Wow. And it took me away from there, but really there would have been bigger than I possibly could have imagined. Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, who am I? I'm like, I can't play God, but at the same time, I totally understand. I'm big on the I am that I am concept. Like essentially, I am God. But you say that in today's day and age, you're like, you narcissistic prick. But
I get it.
But if you get it, you get it, and that's because that is true. Like, we are all God in our own reality that we're creating and choose to believe we live in. So it's like, what I mean? Like, am I gonna try and sit here and like create this? This is the juice, And I think it's in the time and putting ourselves in new situations is a big thing, and it could be different, even if it's not scary, because I feel like you start facing fears and you're like, this shit, like, because I do believe just face as many fears as possible in the positive way. People be like, oh, I'm gonna jump off, like a thing with no parachute, like be realistic, as much as I don't like the word realistic, because someone said back in the day, there's no such thing as flying, no one can fly, and the Wright brothers or whoever actually invented it, it's like, so, but I do think there's like, that's the other thing. There's a balance. It's all a balance, because then we can go all the way over here and be like, I'm just going to live in fairyland, and nothing gets done. And then you live in, so it's, all of life is just a balance. And I've read the book. I've said this so many times, and I don't actually feel bad for whoever wrote the book, but I always say, I read that book, on balance. There's no such thing as balance. People are like, there's no such thing as balance. You're either doing things over here, and I believe in being all over here and doing everything you got to do over here, and then you jump over here and you do all the things you have to do over there. It's like, okay, I know, but then you're living in the balance of like both of those, right? I mean, how else is it sustainable? Because I know what it's like to live over here and do this all the time. It's like, so I would be the first person. I would love to tell you that you could do it all yourself. I would love that. Be like, you can mix, master, produce, sound design, engineer, sing, and do whatever it is in my field or anything else in life, and you could learn business and pick this up and then read these books and learn about funneling and marketing, and I tell you all these things, photography and video, like how you're gonna. I would really love. You can't do it all yourself, and it's like, it's all about. In order to sustain any of it, it has to be, what's it called? Work, like routine, time management. Change the game for me too, because I was doing so many things all over here. At the end of the day, it was just busy work, and I felt like I was moving forward, but it was just like busy work. Like I sleep at night and be like, oh yeah, I got a lot done, but like, did any of what I got done put me on the track of moving forward? It's like, and that was I just. For so long, because I firmly believed that everything that I was doing was moving me forward. Yet I wasn't moving forward at all, and I had excuses for why, and they were for sure they were real, but like it was what I believed to be real, Right. So until I started just looking at things different, started like interviews and talking about a lot of stuff. We're talking about life, and that changed the game for me. Like I did most of it still to this day. Like I have my manager Chaz, who I'm friends with, but in my life I don't, and this is not a sad thing, it's not a woe me, this is a choice that I've made, but I don't have, I'm very protective of my energy and the people that I keep around me, and so those people that I watched in interviews and like these perspectives and these mindset shifts that I was just like very intrigued by, and then I'd start to take some of these principles and implement them in my life, and I'll see these huge shifts and be like, oh my gosh. And then I got like addicted to just watching all of it, watching all of it and digesting it, and just in real life, because if you don't put this life shit first, I don't care what you're doing, and it's not good. Like, even if it happens, it's not sustainable, and you will never be as grateful and happy as when it does, and then you're going through it. So it's like, yeah, it's all fun, you know, it's all amazing. But yeah, taking it back to here are the other two secret keys, right? Gratitude and selflessness. Like those are the two, because there's so many things that we want. That's awesome as human beings, but the gratitude and the selflessness, like. But like we can say, but I'm going through this, or I don't have I don't have money, and like it was tons of things that I said. But like some people, like legit, if you think you got it bad, like there's always someone that has it 10 times worse, you know. And I wouldn't suggest like going out there and like looking for that.
That's not the message.
Yeah, like that's not what. But to have understanding, like there's so much to be grateful for. Like just so much, you know. We just want to separate ourselves so often and be like, yeah, but it's not like this for me. You could say that, like me or anybody else, you know, that talks about this stuff. And that's what kept me away for so long. Mm-hmm. Like that's easy for you to say.
Yeah.
Oh, that mentality like tears
that's
me
the victim
apart.
mentality.
Oh yeah.
You get into this tornado, this bad tornado. That's just. It's bad.
Yeah.
And yeah, it takes down people with you. Unfortunately, last question.
Mm.
I can talk to you all the
time. I'm just going with the flow, whatever. Yeah.
What's your signs? What's your big three?
My signs?
Yeah, your zodiac signs.
Oh, I'm July 14th, so.
You're Cancer.
Yeah. I've only a couple times that I have looked it up, because I've been online. People are like, you have to look it up, and then I like went and looked it up, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is real, you know, like this stuff is super, super real. So yeah, if you know, if you know, if you could, are you able to tell me?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, I'm here for it.
Yeah, we'll have to get a Google thing. Dude, but thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Seriously, thanks for hanging out with
me
here in the park and my birds.
I love birds too.
I love birds too. It's just and then you should put it on a tripod, and then you just come up and say, I love birds too, and just end it.
I love birds too.
Give it up, I just got